This is Bang Bang Ray Hill. Please press the like button and subscribe. Years ago, as I worked in the venue, I told you I've got quite some stories about the venue. And one of the big stories in the venue was a guy called John Miller. John Miller was one of the guys, well, he was the guy with, I think, 3 other mercenaries that went over to Brazil to get Biggsy out of Brazil. And, and everybody sort of slagged down John Miller for doing it. But let me tell you what happened. I personally feel what happened, yeah. Anyway, John Miller, there was a big gig on in the venue. The doors were shut at the front. The foyer was shut. There was no more tickets being sold. And no one else was allowed into the gig. It was me and Fred at the front. And all of a sudden, bash at the door. And it was Richard Branson. Richard Branson opened him up, come in, and this guy, good-looking guy, with a couple of other guys come in, this guy called John Miller, good-looking guy, black hair, tall guy, well-built, cut up, mate. It was just, you could see he was really regimental, yeah, and he was an ex-guardsman, and he was a mercenary, yeah. And he come in and he wanted to go backstage, and we said no, because it's our job, we're in charge. Richard Branson said, no, you can't go back there. And he started to get a bit flashed at Miller. Me and Fred put it on him, and listen, we ain't bothered. We're there to do a job. I ain't fighting a Miller. I heard about him, but I didn't know he was a mercenary until later on. You know what I mean? But I heard he was a bit of an handful through some certain people who was talking to us. This was all after, not before. And all of a sudden, Richard Branson took him upstairs to his private office. He had the office downstairs, but he took him upstairs to his private office. The venue was like a cinema, yeah. Same thing. It was a cinema. It was a cinema. Come venue for gigs, yeah. So Miller went upstairs with Richard Branson, and they was up there for the end of the night, for the end of the gig. The gig had finished. Everybody had been turned out. We was just hanging around for Richard Branson to come down. So about, 25, 30 minutes after the gig, everybody's out, everybody's clearing up, money's all being banked and everything. So we're waiting for Richard Branson to come down. He comes down with Miller. Him and Miller are drunk, a bit tipsy, all joking about, and all of a sudden, Miller's got a bit leery with me and Fred. He's had a bit of a drink, and I thought he was going to kick off with Miller. He's a bit flash. I put it on him. He put it on us first, and we put it on him and his mercenary mates. And nothing ever happened. But I suppose it could have done. I think Richard Branson was behind it. He didn't want it to happen. Yeah. The next thing you know, that he's gone with this little firm over to Brazil. Everybody's gone mad at Miller, saying you're out of order. But this is what I personally reckon. Yeah. I think that. I don't know. I'm only speaking hypothetically. It's only hearsay, what I've been told. But we was told that Richard Branson was involved in this, and Richard Branson got the yacht for Miller. It was a big yacht, and they sailed across to get Biggsy, drugged him up, and put him on the boat. We believe that it went halfway across, and before they got over to the other side of where it got to, it was stopped. And then Biggsy was brought back. It was all part of a big publicity stunt to get in the papers and all that. A lot of money passed hands, yeah. Miller got a fortune, so did whoever else got a fortune. But we thought it was Richard Branson involved in this, because you would do, wouldn't you? Come on, you see Miller and Richard Branson together in the venue, and you think after that he goes missing, and we all think that everybody else did it someone else. But anyway, so then Miller we understand that Miller gets nicked, and. What happened there, I don't know. I don't know too much about it. I think Miller got released. Didn't spend no time in custody. He got released, yeah. Then later on, there was a big coup about him with Lord Lucan, saying that he knew where Lord Lucan was, and would someone want to put money up to get Lord Lucan back? And a lot of people put a lot of money up to get Lord Lucan back. I mean, come on. A lot of money. Whether or not Biggsy was not involved in anything to do with it at all. Biggsy was pushed aside. Biggsy was right out of it, mate. I mean, Biggsy was nothing to do with being kidnapped and all that. I don't think Biggsy knew too much about it. But Biggsy was put back. He was stopped halfway across the borders or whatever it was, and then was took back to Brazil. But whether or not Biggsy was involved in it, I don't know. And they're getting the right few bob. But maybe it was. I don't know. Yeah. But then he was trying to get Lord Lucan. A lot of people put money up to get Lord Lucan back. But it was another con from this Miller. Miller was a very clever man, mate. Tall, good-looking guy. Very, very powerful looking, like very powerful looking. Mercenary, we got to be into for that game. But as I say, me and Fred was going to kick off with him and his mates. Whether or not we don't know what might have happened. We definitely wasn't fighting with them, mate. We definitely would have kicked off with them, mate. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the mercenaries who they are. They're gone. Whether or not we'd have got hurt, I don't know. But you don't go into them sort of jobs thinking that's going to happen. You just kick off, don't you? Anyway, that and then there's all rumours about the venue, about Richard Branston being involved with that Miller quite a lot in there, and obviously people were saying that he was involved, but I mean it's only hearsay, and it's not true, not true as true as can say it happened. You know what I mean? He was involved in it, and what I'm saying to you, it was only hypothetically that he was what we're thinking about, what we was talking about. Richard Branston's very, very powerful man. Richard Branston's dad was a QC barrister. Richard Branston's dad was a red robe judge at St Albans Crown Court. So there's a lot of money, a lot of law in that family, a lot of power. So you think about it, could it have happened, And very. I mean, when I was at the Venu Victoria, a lot of people once a year in the summertime went to Richard Branston's home. I think it is his home or his father's home. The judge, not the judge, his father's home which was the red robe judge at St Albans Crown Court. There's a big thing about me getting nicked and going to St Albans Crown Court for sentencing, yeah. But I got not chucked, but I got remanded in custody because I was up to a bigger charge, yeah, than that. But that was down to Richard Branson that I got nicked, yeah. Anyway, yeah, and then we was told that maybe he had something to do with the Lord Lucan turnout, Miller, trying to get hold of Miller, trying to get hold of Lord Lucan. But if you're watching my podcast, which you're going to give me comments on it, personally myself, I don't think Miller, as much as what he was a mercenary, as there's a lot of money involved, I don't think that Miller had any idea. He had an idea that he was going over there to get Biggsy, but I don't think he knew. I'm getting my words tied up a bit. He knew that Biggsy wasn't going to come back to England. It was just, as I say, publicity stunt, mate. As much as Miller done what he done, everybody said he was out of order for what he did. Miller knew that it was a load of cobblers. Miller knew that he was only going to bring him halfway across the borders, and they was going to take him back. Yeah. Anyway, that's what happened. And Miller, as far as I'm concerned, was a nice guy, mate. Even though he was a bit of an arsehole, having a drink, thought he was a big charming Charlie Potatoes. But I think he'd have, personally myself, I reckon I'd bash him up. Anyway, still not joking. Anyway, this is Bang Bang Rail. Please press the like button and subscribe, and good evening. Yeah? Bye bye.